Hi pal, just a quick one. I've just had an hour and a half's conversation with a friend that I know over here who is going through a tough time, and I nearly dismissed him this morning until I got his message, and it just like reminded me of the time that you were there for me a few years back at the house in Newcastle. So because I'm in such a better place, I just want to say thanks a lot for that, mate. And I think I've just passed it forward on this guy, so hope you're doing well, pal, and I'll catch up with you soon, alright? All the best. Cheers, Gary. See you soon. Just paid my car insurance. 331 quid for a year. Ouch. 231. October the 10th, and it is scorching. The weather is absolutely scorching. It's ridiculous. I just had a thought about this. You know, I always mess around with the microphone. I just had a thought, let's see if I can try to do something different for it for a change. Take it off there, bring it around there, and tie it onto there. Does that work better? Yeah, it works better. That's having it, is it? Let's have a look, nearly. Yeah, that'll have it. That'll do it. Yeah, it's absolutely scorching. We've got a cleaner in. We've had a cleaner in for the last week. It's been crazy. Temperature's going up, feeling about 40 degrees. It's like a hot air oven at the moment, like being sitting in a fan oven. We're getting across, yeah. It's been ridiculous, man. But we live in Tenerife. We live on an island close to the equator. What do you expect? Do you know what I mean? Hottest part of the earth. Which way should we go today? We'll go for one. Go this way. Cut straight across. We've had a busy couple of weeks. Like, we've had people over, lots of friends over, coming over for their holidays, and when you go out and you meet them, it's stuff that we don't normally do on a day-to-day basis. But you feel obliged is the wrong word, but it's nice to catch up and see these people. And like it races. It's nice to catch up and see these people, but it leaves you a little bit drained, a little bit tired, and a little bit happy with the rest. So today's our day off, and you can say I'm not sure which way I'm going to walk today. Today's our day off, so it's just nice to have a bit of time off. And as I said, you do your day-to-day chores, like pay the car insurance, 230 quid, 1.4 Hyundai, 330 quid for a 51-year-old bloke. It's quite expensive, but it is what it is, as they say in Tenerife. S-O-C-K-S. I want to tell you, I've got a great story today. Really, really great story, uplifting story. It ends with the message that you've most probably just heard, if my editing skills are correct. I've put that in. It ends with that, but starts completely different. It starts with a guy who I've met through the channel, and who I've contacted backwards and forwards with us, with stories and his story and stuff, to a point where the guy came over last week, and I actually wanted to interview him for the channel, but he wasn't ready for it, which is fine. So I said, look, do you mind if I share your story? And he said, yeah, that's fine. So I'm going to share a little bit of his story, but I'm going to change his name. I'm going to give him the name of Max Power. Max Power. A couple of reasons, for 3 reasons really. First reason, because I want to keep his identity, his wishes a secret. Number 2, because I think if he hears the name Max Power and the reference to it, I think he'll chuckle. And number 3, for those of you that are really niche and geeky, you might get the Simpsons reference to when Homer Simpson changed his name to the name on a hairdryer, which is the weather today, and called himself Max Power. I think it's quite clever. So Max came over last couple of weeks. First things first, a couple of weeks before that, he actually while he was here, he put on Facebook the fact that he'd suffered a breakdown about 3 weeks previous, and if it wasn't for his partner, he didn't know what he would do. And for me, when I saw that message, I thought it was really incredible that somebody's has got the balls really to put out the fact that mentally they're struggling. And we did the old, when we met, we did the old analogy, look, if you break your leg, you send a plaster, somebody says, oh my god, what have you done with your leg? Trouble is, when it's all up here, people don't do that, and people just then struggle to accept it. Yet is the word brave enough? He's come out and said, no, this is the issue, this is what I've got, and this is what I'm struggling with, and I'm coming out the other side of it. And it was that was the start of it really. That's what, because I replied on his message. I said, listen, I think it's fantastic that you've owned it, I suppose, more than anything else. You've actually owned it, because that's the thing, isn't it? Once if you've got it, own it. And the reason why I believe that, for me, is that the cure isn't the victory. The victory is actually owning it and knowing that there's something wrong, and then the start of trying to do something to try and get it sorted and get it fixed. And I think that's the victory that people don't realise. The old saying of it's not the end destination, enjoy the journey. I think it's, in this instance, it's the journeys. You need to take victory in the journey for any sort of progress for yourself, and that's what I saw was a massive win for him. So anyway, backwards and forwards, a lot of text. We met up a few times, and I said to him, the flippant sentence. I said, look, we'll meet up for a coffee one day next week, and we'll have a chat. And I genuinely meant it. And this was, let's say, on a Saturday. They were going home on a Friday, for instance. So I thought, I've got 6 days, I can do it. And then time just got in the way. Work got in the way. We all went out on a Monday. Big group of us went out on a Monday, and it was a great day. I think Max had a great time with his missus, and in a selfish sort of way, I almost thought to myself, well, does that mean I'm done now? I've invested my time, and I don't need to go and spend any time with him, because I've already done it in essence with it in the form of in a group form. A little inside I knew I didn't. I knew that I was going to offer, if I'd say I'm going to do something, I need to go and do it. And the week was that busy, and I was getting more and more tired, because the sleep patterns are kicking in at the moment, where I'll get to bed about 2:30, 2:45. The dog will get me up at 8:30, so after 5.5, just shy of 6 hours sleep, I'm walking the dog, coming back in, going back to bed, not really sleeping very well. I've got the friends here, so I was really, really struggling last week. And the trouble is, then time was also running out to a point where I'll stick in the town. I think time was running out to a point where Max was going to go home soon, and I'd never have had that time to have that conversation with him. So it happened on Thursday last week, but I thought, well, we've got hoppies. It was a busy day. Thursday. It's a very tiring day for ourselves with the amount of stuff that we do live at hoppies, and then we do. I'm working that night. I always know Thursday's a busy one, and I thought, I'm going to have to fit this hour in, and come from Callio over to Los Cristianos and meet Max. And I've got to tell you, 100% I'm so glad I did. 100% I'm so glad I did. And the reason being, before we go any more with this, as I said to him, and I'll say to everybody else, I'm not qualified in this area whatsoever. All I know is my own thoughts. All I know is my own ideas, my own views, and my own opinions. I'm not qualified in the slightest. But sometimes what I do know is that if you carry on doing the same thing that you do every single day, you're going to get the same result. So if you hear it from somebody different, of a different view, then you might get a different result. And I think that's where we most probably succeeded on that meeting. Right, let me just see if this phone's blowing up, because it's red hot. You see, the thing that had happened beforehand is that Max had wrote a list of all the things, and Max suffers depression, Max has had a breakdown, and his partner had asked him to write a list of what the things are that make him depressed. So he wrote this list, and I was out walking my dog at the time, so he sent the list to me beforehand, and I was out walking my dog, and I thought, I've not got time to read this list doing this, because that's flippant again. I need to go in, sit down and properly study this list, which I did, and I found it fascinating. I found it absolutely genuinely fascinating. It was brilliant. So when I met him, I said to him, so what do you think of the list? And he's like, well, yeah, a little bit awkward with it. And I went, I tell you, I thought it was brilliant. I think it's brilliant that you've got a list. I said, one of the first things that really stuck out to me was when he first meets people, he tends to overcompensate, tries to be over loud, tries to be over funny, and then the following day he wonders if he's been a dick in the meeting, and therefore he depresses himself about that, how he came across. And as I said before, even though I'm not qualified, That was the first thing that I could address to him, because I said, look, you know, literally what you've just done to me is we've just done that. You know, you don't know me from Adam, in essence. He said, I think I'm quite an intelligent person. I think I've got worldly skills and I know people. I said, let me tell you, when I first met you and I walked away from it, I actually really enjoyed your company. And that was a start. And I said, you need to know that from a personal point of view, from a stranger's point of view, you actually have a charming skill about you. And, you know, when you look at a list of maybe 10, 15 things, that's one of the things he could tick off his list, in the reassurance that he should know, or he should know, that he doesn't come across the way that he feels that he does come across. And I said to him, look, if you did come across that way, I'd tell you anyway. But he doesn't. So that's really how the conversation went. And we had about an hour and a half on this conversation, conversing backwards and forwards like this. And it was brilliant. Genuinely, it was brilliant. Max, if you're watching, you know who you are. It was brilliant. I genuinely think you got something out of it. It's not, how do you explain this? It's not it's not me explaining to you what I think you should get out of it. It's what I got out of it that this vlog's about. I got out of it an immense amount of strength, because talking to you and hearing what you're saying actually compounded some of the things that I think and some of the things that I feel, and actually gave me strength in some of the things that I feel on a day-to-day basis, I suppose. And it was great. It was really, really good. What was interesting about it was that the list that you'd made, your partner, this is something you said afterwards, your partner said that the list was like a negative list, you need to write a positive list. And I said, this is where I think we change, that we differ dramatically. I said, because one of the things that I always try and do is, no matter what happens, if something happens to me in a negative way, like the parking ticket on the last vlog, I will look at myself and go, right, okay, how can I turn that into a positive? Hence the reason why I did a vlog on it, hence the reason why I did the story about it, hence the reason why in a couple of years' time I'll laugh at it. And he says, so if I get that list that you've got and try and, rather than do a negative, call that a negative list and then make a positive list, that negative list will still be there. What I then thought I'd do was, well, how do I turn that negative, all the negatives on there, how do I turn them into positives? And I think you'd never even thought of it that way before. And I think you went off at the end of it with a little bit of a bounce in your step. The message that you sent me afterwards was brilliant and really, really heartwarming. And then the message that your partner sent me as well was just nice, and it was really good. So it is a story that I think needed to be shared for other people, and because again, it's turning something negative that you feel's negative, Max, turning it into a positive, where then if it's your negative and you can use that to help other people, then surely that's the positive that we're looking for, isn't it? I don't know, but I felt compelled to tell it. I genuinely felt compelled to tell it, and I want to thank you for giving me that permission to tell it, because I think it genuinely, from what you don't realise, Max, is the amount of people that I meet now. I mean, it's just ridiculous, that come up to us and look me straight in the eye and just say, the level that I talk, or the level that I comment, or the level that I create content touches them, really touches them in a way that is, yeah, different to most other people. And if your story's going to help that, then that's surely a good thing, isn't it? That's what I think anyway, that's what I think. But it was a great meet-up. It really was. And I think what we talk about, stuff where you make the channel, you make friends for a long time. I think this is something that, for yourself, I think we'll be in contact a lot longer in the future over. With regards to, with regards to it. One of the things I did say, that which was really interesting, I gave him a question, right? And this is out of ignorance. This is out of, I'm a very matter-of-fact person, I think, when I talk. I take emotion out of stuff and put rationality into stuff. So when somebody's talking emotionally, I can rip the emotion out of it, sometimes not in a great way, and put the rationality into it. I said to him, okay, you suffer from depression? He went, yeah. I said, so at what point then are you not depressed anymore? I don't know if I should have said that, but it's like, because when you break a leg and your leg gets fixed, or when you, if you're saying that, if you're going to use that analogy, you know, you break your finger, you get it sorted, your finger gets fixed eventually. So if you're saying that this is the same as the same thing, so you get depressed, at what point are you not depressed anymore? I also said on the flip side of this that I'm also a fraud, because it was other people have always brought me down. It's never been me that's tends to have brought myself down, and that's the reason why I always feel a fraud when I talk about stuff like this. The final point I want to get out of it, because I know I'm rambling, is when I left the meeting with Max Power, when I left the meeting, the first thing I did was I called a friend of mine, my best mate, back in the UK. 5 years ago, at a very low point, something happened where there was I was here and there was an accident, and I had to go back to the UK for maybe, I think it was about a month and a half, and it was pretty serious, pretty bad, pretty much a low point of my life, caused by other people. But he came up, and no questions, no judgment, no comments. He just came up and he was there, and it was that moment when you needed somebody, they were there. And for me, I had to let him know that hopefully I took strength from that, and I could pass it on to Max Power this time round, because it proves to me that the moment you start talking, men for all start talking, things get a lot better, things become a lot easier, things tend to tending to see the light at the end of a tunnel, just purely and simply through talking. So Max, thank you so much. Thank you for giving me your time. Thank you for telling me your story. And one of the things I did say, and I think this is an important thing as well about it all, I said I'm always there at the end of a phone, I'm always there at the end of a text, I'm always there at the end of a message. And the reason why I'm always there, because I don't feel his issue is a crutch or a burden for me, because it's a story I can listen to and let him do it himself. So I don't know if that makes sense, but it just means I can always be there for him. So there you go. Right, bit of a deep one. I think I've said everything I need to say, really. I'm going to go back on the bike, go on and have my day off, and I'll see you guys on the next one as always, okay? As always, you know what to do. See you on the next one, guys. All the best. So, because I'm in such a better place, I just want to say thanks a lot for that, mate. And I think I've just passed it forward on this guy. So, hope you're doing well, pal. And I'll catch up with you soon, all right? All the best. Cheers, Gary. See you soon.